Money in the Bank 2024 is in the books. And your boy, once again, just like Forbidden Door, went perfecto. Not only did I go perfect in my predictions, I even predicted the triple threat and finish of the World Heavyweight Championship match, right? So I am on a roll. 15 out of 15 in my last pay-per-view match prediction. So just really quick, let me Barry Horowitz myself. Thank you very much. Tonight, Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I thought was really good. We did have a couple of surprises. One of those surprises was a big appearance by John Cena. Now, John Cena's appearance and his announcement about his retirement, I think I'm going to record some separate thoughts on that. So keep a lookout tonight or tomorrow. I'll drop a video on that because I have a lot to say about John Cena. But he showed up right in the middle of the show here tonight to announce that he is going to retire from the WWE. All of his gear had "The last time is now. After this, you can't see me," I think was written on the back, and it said John Cena Retirement Tour 2025 on the front. And he announced in his promo that 2025 was going to be his farewell tour, and he's going to hit a lot of these pay-per-views and wrestle at them for the last time. And the way he worded things made it sound like he was going to be around for the majority of 2025, but when exactly he's going to call it quits, we don't know. Now, he is scheduled to be a part of the press conference after the show where he said he's going to give some more details on that. But apparently they have some big things planned for John Cena's retirement run. So I want to wait and see what Cena has to say at the press conference. And then later on tonight, I'm going to lay down a recording on what I think of John Cena's upcoming retirement, what I think they can do, and my thoughts on it in general. So stay tuned for that. But the rest of the show tonight, I still thought was very good. Now, they opened the show with the men's Money in the Bank match, which we definitely thought was possible, especially if the plan is for McIntyre to come out later. You got to get this match done pretty soon. Now, I was under the assumption that Seth Rollins and Damian Priest would be the main event. It was not. It was the Bloodline match instead. So that match came a little bit before. I think it was third on the card. So you had to do basically the men's Money in the Bank match first. Now, you guys who heard my predictions the other day, I kept going back and forth on Jay and Drew the whole time. I assumed all along it would be one of the two of them. And ultimately, I decided to pick Drew McIntyre because I thought that made the most sense for the story. Drew can win the Money in the Bank, come out and do what he said he was going to do. And I called Drew out for that the night on Raw when he dangled the little friendship bracelet and stole that from CM Punk. And then like a moron said, when I win the Money in the Bank, I'm going to cash in that night. Well, you just convince CM Punk to buy a plane ticket to Toronto because he's going to be there and he's going to fuck your shit up guaranteed. And he did. And so Drew was an idiot for showing his hand like that. He did win the men's Money in the Bank briefcase as expected. The match was pretty good. It was filled with your typical spots. But the biggest, I think, surprise in the whole match is that we didn't see any outside interference. I was expecting everybody to run out. I thought we would see Logan Paul take out LA Knight. I thought we would see the Wyatt Six take out Chad Gable. I thought Punk might run out there and try to mess with Drew. Maybe somebody from the Bloodline or the Wyatt Six tried to mess with Jey Uso. And who knows, maybe even somebody would attack Carmelo Hayes or Andrade. You never know. So I thought the match was going to have a ton of interference. It didn't really have any at all, and Drew McIntyre wound up winning the briefcase, and I'm happy that he did because that's what I wanted to see happen. And on my predictions, I laid out what I thought Drew would do, and he did. But after that, we had the Intercontinental title match. It was Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental title against Braun Breaker, and this match I had wild ideas for. I had Ricochet coming back and costing Braun Breaker the match. And even in my predictions, I said that I believe Sami Zayn is going to win and retain the title, but I'm just not exactly sure how he's going to do that. I even said I would rather see a clean victory than him score a quick roll-up or something on Breaker. I think Sami just needs to straight up win, but given how dominant Breaker has been and how WWE really seems to be high on the guy, I wasn't sure how Sami would pull off the win. But then again, he's Sami Zayn. This man beat the dominant Gunther at WrestleMania. He's no slouch. Sami Zayn is a credible, well-traveled veteran, champion, multi-time champion, perfectly capable of succeeding on the grand stage. He main evented WrestleMania last year on night one, big moment there, beat Gunther. At this year's WrestleMania, big moment. This guy knows what to do in these scenarios. It should not be a given that it should take some cheating or outside interference or some sort of extenuating circumstance to get Braun Breaker defeated. And when you watch the match, I love the way it went. And I think Sami Zayn's experience is what could get him the win here, and it did. He capitalized. He knew what weaknesses to look for. He caught the haluva kick when the time was right, and he pinned Braun Breaker completely clean. And I even said the minute it was over, I'm like, I bet you if I go to Twitter right now, a whole bunch of booger eaters are going to be all pissed off that Braun Breaker won, and this doesn't make any sense, and why would WWE do this? Look, we are fans. Our job is to watch the show, have a good time watching it. There are plenty of times when WWE is going to make a questionable booking decision, or they're going to put the wrong guy over, or they're going to do something that is just so batshit nuts that it frustrates us and we voice our opinions. This is not one of those times. And one thing that wrestling fans do not possess is patience. It's their worst quality. They have none of it. Whenever a match outcome happens that they don't like, they act like wrestling ends right there. Braun Breaker is now never going to win a championship. He's going to have to go back to NXT. He might as well just retire and call it a day because his career is ruined. Take a deep breath. Just relax. Stop overreacting to finishes that are just simply not that big of a deal. This was a big win for Sami Zayn, reestablishing him as a very, very credible champion that's going to be tough to beat. And I guarantee you, well, maybe not guarantee you, but I'd be willing to bet that Braun Breaker is going to get another crack at that Intercontinental Championship. And that's what I said in my predictions. I'd rather see Braun Breaker win the title at SummerSlam than here at Money in the Bank. Now, we never saw any Wyatt 6 attack on Gable tonight, so maybe he could get back into the picture here and get himself a match against Sami Zayn at SummerSlam, and they go back to Gable, but it looked like they were pivoting to Braun Breaker. So what I think is going to happen is Breaker is going to have to maybe earn himself another championship shot. He gets it maybe at SummerSlam, or you toss Gable in there, and it's a triple threat or something. That's probably what they're going to do, is a multi-man match for the Intercontinental title. And then maybe Braun Breaker wins it there, and then he defends it at the next show against former champion Sami Zayn, and then beats Sami Zayn clean there. Full circle, gets the title, gets his win back. Nothing to worry about. Braun Breaker's career is still intact, and everything is just fine. So try to just pick your battles. If you want to fly off the rails about a match finish, go right ahead, but I think you're wasting your time making yourself mad when at the end of the day, it's not going to mean dick in terms of harming the level of success that Braun Breaker is going to see in his career. He's going to see plenty of it, and he's going to win plenty of championships. That's a given, so let's just not freak out too much about that. Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest was our third match of the night, and in my predictions, I said the one thing that I can't stop thinking about and that I can't get past is what Seth Rollins does at SummerSlam. He has to do something. And maybe tomorrow night on Raw, or Monday night on Raw, he could be targeted by the Wyatt 6, and it could be Seth Rollins and Uncle Howdy. Maybe Seth Rollins could be the special referee and Drew and Drew and Punk or something like that. I've really been wondering about what he could do at SummerSlam because he has to work with somebody. So my big idea was for Drew McIntyre to win the briefcase, which he did. And then in what I thought would be the main event, this match, he would show up. But the key was McIntyre had to add himself to the match. He had to make it a triple threat. It would be better for him to do that than wait until there's a winner and try to cash in on that guy. That way, it keeps Rollins in the title picture. Now, the announcers kept alluding to the fact that he had that stipulation that he can't challenge for the title as long as Priest is the champion if he loses here. But did he really lose? So as expected, as the match is winding down, and one major thing I should mention, something I forgot to bring up earlier, is that right before McIntyre came out to cash in, we had a major catastrophic botch in this match. And I mean a huge one. It's a good thing there was a cash in planned, because that would be really, really hard to explain. I also think it can be a great way to get Seth into the SummerSlam match. It might be a happy accident because Rollins hit Priest, I believe, with a stomp. And then he went to cover Damian Priest, and the referee goes 1, 2, and Priest does not kick out at all. And the referee just stops his count. And I think what was supposed to happen is maybe McIntyre's music, or maybe Priest thought McIntyre's music was going to hit during the 3 count and he wouldn't need to kick out because Seth and the referee would jump up to be like, oh, what the hell? But the music cue didn't happen, and then Priest didn't kick out for whatever reason, and it was a botch, and I was reacting like, oh my God, they fucked that up so bad. They fucked that up so bad, y'all. And then as we're talking about how bad that looked, that's when Drew McIntyre's music hits. He comes out with the briefcase, and then it starts dawning on us what's about to happen. And so now we've forgotten all about the botch. But that was a huge, huge mistake by Damian Priest. I could even see him talking a little bit, I think, to the referee. And I swear he was saying something like, oh, I'm so sorry, I fucked that up. I bet you he feels like shit for doing that. But then Drew McIntyre comes out. So he comes out and he does just what I said. He cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase, officially adding himself to the match, making it a triple threat. And then he gets in there and Seth hits him with immediate super kick, and Priest even gets in there as well. But then Drew, I think he takes out Seth, and right when he's about to hit him with a Claymore, or somebody with a Claymore, that's when CM Punk finally arrives. I kept calling for it, and I'm like, Punk's got to show up. There's no way McIntyre's winning the title here because Gunther has the title shot, and it's not going to be Drew and Gunther. So when Drew is standing in that ring, I know this is going to be a failed cash-in, 100%. And so he cashes in. Finally, Punk shows up, brutally attacks Drew McIntyre, gets him to the outside. He's hitting him with chairs. He's beating the hell out of him in the timekeeper's area. McIntyre kind of scrambles away. He gets back in the ring. CM Punk then grabs the World Heavyweight Championship belt, gets up on the ring apron, blasts McIntyre in the face, and then I think is when Priest grabs him, hits him with South of Heaven, or maybe he doesn't. Priest jumps on McIntyre to get the pin, and that was another big factor. I said the finish they need to do is Priest pinning McIntyre. Seth needs to not be involved in this because of what my idea for him at SummerSlam is. And Priest pins Drew McIntyre, retains the title. Punk screws McIntyre over for a 3rd time. And now you know McIntyre, he is about to lose his shit. He kind of just did on the post show. If I had to guess, I think Punk is going to be absent from Monday's Raw. There's no reason for Punk's character to show up there when Drew is about as mad as he's ever going to fucking be. So I think Punk will be absent from Raw. Drew will cut a scathing promo and he will challenge CM Punk to an anything goes match, street fight, brawl at SummerSlam. The only way to end this is to end you once and for all, to rid the WWE of you. He's going to lay down the challenge on Monday night. And then Punk, like I said, he might show up on the Tron from Drew McIntyre's house, taking a shit on his front lawn and pissing on his doormat, and then be like, yeah, I accept your challenge. No problem, McIntyre. See you there at SummerSlam. See you in Cleveland. That's what I think is going to go down. Now, here's the big thing about Seth Rollins. You guys are probably tired of me talking about this because every single night I've been talking about this match at the pay-per-view at Money in the Bank. I've been wondering what it means for Rollins at SummerSlam. And my idea was that if McIntyre cashes it in, makes it a triple threat, and he's the one that gets pinned, Seth has a reasonable argument to make to Adam Pearce. Hey, that stipulation that I signed for that said, if Priest beats me, I can never face him for the title as long as he's champion. That was something written into the contract for this match. It wasn't written in there for a triple threat. So that alone might be enough to void the stipulation and for Pearce to be like, you know what, you're right. To make it up to you, I'm going to add you to Priest versus Gunther at SummerSlam. Seth Rollins' presence in the match and his addition to the match, I think, will spice the match up, make it more exciting, and prevent it from being potentially dull, which maybe it could be if it's just Priest and Gunther one-on-one. But now you add the botch in there. If they decide to reference this on TV, if Seth's character goes to Adam Pearce and shows him a replay of this, look, asshole, I had him pinned right here. Your dumbass referee fucked me over. Then CM Punk came out and me over too. Damian Priest pinned McIntyre. I wasn't even in the finish. This was not the deal. This is not the deal we made. I want this stipulation thrown out, and maybe Pierce does that. And my prediction might be right, or it might not. But answer me this. What the hell does Seth Rollins do at SummerSlam? One thing he could do is be a special guest referee, because if you notice, after the match, he was pissed at CM Punk. He tried to get to CM Punk, and security held him back, because in Rollins' mind, and according to the announcers, Punk not only screwed Drew, he screwed Seth as well, because Seth couldn't get the title shot if he lost, and he did. I still think they can explain that away and void that stipulation, but if that stipulation holds, that means that Punk really did screw Seth Rollins. So maybe Rollins is the special referee for Drew versus Punk, but I don't think it's needed. I think Drew and Punk should just be a street fight or whatever, and Seth does something else. And I think Seth, being in the triple threat match at SummerSlam for the world title and Gunther winning it there, would be the way to go. That's how I would do it. And then after that was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. This was another match that I wasn't too sure about, but I felt like Tiffany Stratton made the most sense in terms of that particular field who was in it. So I kind of had her. And apparently I might have been a little bit too hard on this match. We watched it together. I felt like it was slow at times. I felt like the crowd was quiet at times. And a few of the moves and the spots they were doing just weren't looking good. They weren't sticking or landing or something. And a lot of the spots were wonky looking, dangerous looking. It just felt underwhelming at times, like uneventful. Lyra Valkyria, whose name I can't stand, was maybe the most impressive one in there. I'm starting to appreciate what she can do in the ring. And there was the amazing spot at the end by Chelsea Green, who just flew off the top of that ladder, through the two tables on the floor. Amazing bump for someone like her. We saw a few other ladder bumps. There was a lot of ladder bridges on the ropes and the ladder, and Io springboarded off of one. Zoe Stark had a pretty sick bump as well. And there were some moments. Tiffy had the big swanton off the top to the floor that also looked pretty good. So the match had its moments. I'm not saying, it was a bad match. Just, I'm not going to ever really consider this one of the best in women's Money in the Bank history. But then when I put that opinion out on social media, a lot of people disagree. No, good mic work. That was a good match. You should give it another look. So maybe I will. Maybe admittedly, I was a little bit too hard on the match. It just wasn't doing it for me. So it might just be a personal preference. But if enough people are like, no, dude, what are you talking about? That match was pretty good. That makes me think that maybe I'm being unfair to it. Fair enough. I will give it another look, and maybe it will be better the second time around. But I just found myself a little bored. But then it really kind of picked up at the end, especially with that Chelsea Green bump. And we had a couple of really close calls. I think it was Zoe, or it was Chelsea at one point, that had the thing unhooked. Like, it was unhooked coming off, and she was stopped. And eventually Tiffany Stratton was able to capitalize, get all the way up there, and retrieve the briefcase. And I'm happy that she won. And then that left us with the main event. It was, in fact, the Bloodline match. Bloodline versus Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens, great promo last night on SmackDown, dedicating this match to his mom, who's been battling a severe illness. He's been in the hospital for 5 days at her bedside, and said that he was going to be here because if he had to miss a show because of his mom would be pissed. So much love and all the positive vibes and thoughts and prayers go out to Mama Steen. Hope you pull through, and I hope everything goes well there. The match, though, I predicted to be like international incident. I feel like when Meltzer made that report that the plan is to have Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, then it's going to be really hard to get to that match. What has Solo done other than self-appoint himself as the tribal chief? What has he done to earn or warrant a world championship match, especially against Cody's title? And he had that abysmal record from last year, like 0-34 or whatever it was. So the only way to really get there is for him to maybe get a win over the champion, much like Vader got a win over Shawn way back at International Incident in 1996, and that's pretty much what they did here. It was a good match. Jacob Fatu was one of the members in the match. Tonga Loa sat this one out, so it was Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu really saved the day. The match was good, you know, it wasn't crazy. We had a few spots on the outside, good frog splash through the table, and Cody backdropped Jacob Fatu all the way through the timekeeper's area. He landed on the doctor, and we had some crazy bumps in there, but it was really kind of a showcase for Jacob Fatu. It was first time in a WWE ring, his first WWE match, and he was super impressive. No sold Randy Orton's vintage thing, and really saved the day for Solo Sikoa, who got caught in crossroads position. Cody hit him with one and maybe two, and I think when he came up for the third, that's when Jacob Fatu reemerged, took out Cody, took him down, and then held him for Solo so he could deliver the Samoan spike. And then Jacob went to the outside, retrieved the referee, threw him in the ring, and the referee counted 1, 2, 3, and the Bloodline wins. And most importantly, Solo Sikoa gets a pin over Cody Rhodes, and that right there will probably set up your SummerSlam match.